No, this supports what I said, right? Because A equals B is true if and only if A and B pick out the same thing. Meaning that
Yeah, I agree
identity
with that
statements,
statement.
hold on, would require truth conditions. Correct? So, for example, if A and B refer to persons, then the truth condition is going to be personal identity. If A and B refer
Yeah.
to essences, then the truth condition is essential identity. So, if A and B refer to sets, then the truth condition is going to be extensional sameness of members. And if A and B refer to propositions, then the truth condition is going to be propositional sameness. So, the law of identity is universal, but the application of identity statements is going to be category governed. So when we say that they are identical, numerically identical insofar as the essence, we would be correct to say that, and then to say that they are not identical insofar as the hypostasis, because the truth conditions are different. So yeah, tell me why it's going to be
Yeah, so
informally
right, okay,
invalid.
so I'll just say even if you define person differently from essence, there's a tension, and I'm going to start my argument from here, just the way you want me to, right? Father, so let's start. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit are each fully gods, and this is my argument, or divine attributes, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they are numerically distinct in person, right? So if two beings share all attributes fully, can they still be separate? Well, I'll leave the answer to you. Now that's just my deductive claim. Now this is probably going to be the identity versus distinction problem, because Christians, they say that some say it's a mystery, or our categories of logic can't fully capture God, right? And philosophers, right, they say that mystery doesn't resolve the logical tension, or it just asserts it exists without proof, right? So I can be a father and I can be a teacher and a friend simultaneously, right? These are distinct roles, but one person. But you guys argue that the Trinity is similar, which is three persons, and they share one essence. Now, this is where the argument starts, right?
Well, I
One
wouldn't
is
say that.
essence.
That would be modalism. It's a heresy. I wouldn't actually
Yeah,
say
no,
that's similar.
I'm just giving an example. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. At least you agree that's modalism, no problem. Let's just get to the argument. So, essence and person are treated as separate categories, right? And in formal terms, one can say there is one essence and three persons without breaking formal rules of logic. So let me ask you this: can three fully identical, fully divine persons exist without contradiction?
Um, Fully identical. Identical in what way? Materially identical. Relatively identical. What way?
Relatively, materially. Yeah, so I said, can three fully identical, fully divine persons exist without contradiction?
Can they exist without contradiction? Can three fully identical, fully divine persons exist without contradiction?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. If you mean if by fully identical you mean numerically identical in every respect whatsoever, including hypostatic identity, then no, because we wouldn't say that the Father equals the Son.
Okay, so you said not necessarily. Well, I mean, the claim is God is one being and only one divine essence, and God exists as three persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I mean, if okay, so watch this. I'm gonna restate the problem. Okay, if each person is fully God, then each has all divine attributes, and you agree. And if they are distinct persons, then there are three numerically distinct centers of consciousness, right? Now, you guys argue that the essence and person are different categories, and one essence can exist as multiple persons without violating formal logic. So logically, it's not impossible. But even if the categories are different, each person is fully God, which they all share all divine attributes, and each person is numerically distinct, which is different subjects. So philosophical principle, we will say that if two things share all attributes fully, can they be truly distinct? Right? If yes, how is distinction maintained? And I want you to remember this. And if the answer is no, then you don't have three fully divine persons.
So are you asking me like how are the Father and Son distinct and what form of distinction this is?
Yeah.
Hypostatic distinction, meaning that the distinction is not real, but no, the distinction is real and it's not going to be merely conceptual, but it's not going to be an essential distinction. So the distinction is not going to be a distinction of essence, of nature, of substance in the tritheistic sense. It's not going to be a distinction by accidental properties. It's just going to be a distinction by relation of origin. So the Father is unbegotten, the Son is begotten of the Father, the Spirit proceeds of the Father or from the Father,
Yeah.
and these wouldn't be accidental relations added onto the already constituted individuals. There would be constitutive hypostatic properties in each person who he is by an incommunicable relational mode. So the distinction is going to be best stated as a real hypostatic distinction constituted by incommunicable relations of origin.
Yeah. I mean, I think Thomas Aquinas says that it's a hypostatic distinction. I mean, hypostatic
Also,
equals individual.
Yeah. Earlier you said that there would be three centers of consciousness. You didn't. That was kind of like an implicit, or there was like an implicit premise there, an anthematic premise, a hidden assumption or a hidden premise that if X and Y are numerically distinct persons and each has all divine attributes, then X and Y are numerically distinct centers of consciousness in the same way two created persons are. But no argument was given for this.
No, I will formulate after this hypostatic distinction because I was just making a general argument. But you said hypostatic distinction, no problem. Thomas Aquinas says the same. Would probably, which what it is, it's a fundamental principle of logic, but it underpins, coherence and distinction. But so this is would be applied to the Trinity. I mean, the Father, Son, Spirit equals fully God, share all attributes, fully identical in essence. A equals A equals A. Trinity claims they are distinct persons, which B is not C and C is not D. So how can A plus A equal A also be numerically distinct, right? How can that be possible? This actually destroys the law of identity. You see why I brought up the principle of identity?
Yeah. Would you say that identity statements would require truth conditions?
What? Sorry.
Would the identity statements require truth conditions, meaning that A is equal to B is true if and only if A and B pick out the same thing?
I'll just necessarily say that, I mean, the law of identity is a principle of logic, it's not a contingent fact about the world, right? So if A equals A is true by definition, then not because we check the world, it's a tautology, it cannot be false. So yes, but the identity statement is true, but it's truth in necessary, it's not empirical. Because the claim, and this goes back to the Trinity, the claim is that three persons are fully God and fully identical, right?
Yeah, but A is going to be equal to B only if A and B pick out the same thing, correct?
No, because you're saying, okay, so this is like saying 2 plus 2 equals 4, but 2 plus 2 is not 4 at the same time. It would violate necessary
How is that
truth.
so?
I just told you. 2 plus 2 equals 4, but then you say 2 plus 2 cannot equals 4 at the same time. Would violate necessary truth.
That's not
Claim
what I
three
said at
plus-
all. I said A equals B is going to be true if and only if A and B pick out the same thing. You would agree with this, right?
Yeah, I would agree with it, but this destroys what you said before.
No, this supports what I said, right? Because A equals B is true if and only if A and B pick out the same thing, meaning that
Yeah, I agree
identity
with that.
statements,
Yeah.
hold on, would require truth conditions, correct? So, for example, if A and B refer to persons, then the truth condition is going to be personal identity. If A and B refer to essences, then the truth condition is essential identity. So, if A and B refer to sets, then the truth condition is going to be extensional sameness of members. And if A and B refer to propositions, then the truth condition is going to be propositional sameness. So, the law of identity is universal, but the application of identity statements is going to be category governed. So when we say that they are identical, numerically identical insofar as the essence, we would be correct to say that, and then to say that they are not identical insofar as the hypostasis, because the truth conditions are different.